De kunstenaar Mitchell Thar kreeg van de gemeente Amstelveen de opdracht om een werk te maken geïnspireerd op het veranderende landschap van Amstelveen. Zijn werk wordt toegevoegd aan de Topografische Atlas, een deelcollectie binnen de gemeentelijke kunstcollectie, waarin de ruimtelijke ontwikkeling van Amstelveen centraal staat. De inhoudelijke aandacht voor het landschap blijft, maar de nieuwe kunstenaars mogen op hedendaagse wijze aan de slag. Mitchell woont in Amstelveen en kent het landschap dus goed. En hoe hij de opdracht heeft aangepakt, vraag ik hem zelf in zijn atelier. What are you making for the gemeente Amstelveen?
For the gemeente Amstelveen, I'm going to be making 3 works. 2 of the works are going to be on display in the show in the Museum Jan, and then the 3rd work will be a publication. But the first work is a light box. That will be a strip of 8 A4 images that make a landscape. And most of those images come from the building Amstelveen. And then there is one image that I've taken. It's sort of a re-photograph of the Benelux one. Some of the photos have been slightly altered. Let's say 2 photos overlapped, or 1 photo doubled, or 1 photo glitched. But the light box will be a bit over 2 meters. And then the second work I'm making for the show is a takeaway poster that was also very influenced by the building Amstelveen, which is an image with the unknown photographer of the middle folder. And I've also sort of restaged the photograph in the folder, and that will be next to blocks of red, green, and blue RGB, making a sort of digital landscape. And on the back side of the poster is also a text work that is in English and Dutch, asking how has the landscape of Amstelveen changed? Yeah.
And for your project you have worked together closely with some neighbors?
Yes.
How did you do that?
I'm working closely in particular with one neighbor who has been living there since the late 1960s. So the entire time she's been living there is also the time period I'm directly addressing, 1969 through the present. So she has a first-hand experience of every change in landscape since the late 60s. And our exchange and our interviews based on, we have this a difference in age, we're in between languages, in between nationalities, but we have a back and forth together. And I have a short-term experience of the change in landscape, and she has a long-term experience of the change in landscape. But how to kind of blend these experiences is what we're doing. But this is a very loose and informal exchange. It's also about discovering together, learning together.
Nice. And you also used the beeldbank, the archives of the gemeente.
Yeah.
What have you found there?
I found a lot of interesting photographs there, and this became a public archive in 2017. But most of the searches that I have done have related to the 3 areas that I am researching. But I've noticed that the more I go into the archive, the more interesting things I am finding, the more connections are kind of emerging.
And is there something you want to tell the citizens of Amstelveen with this work?
Well, on the back end of the takeaway poster that I've made, there is the question of how has the landscape of Amstelveen changed? So I do want, maybe sometimes asking the most obvious question it could bring interesting answers. And sometimes it's hard to ask the most obvious question, but I'd say it's not more a direct statement that I'm saying to them, but more, let's say, a mode of looking, or more of reflecting on what are the changes in Amstelveen, and are these changes that we want, these changes that we don't want. So it'd be more about a way of looking or a mode of reflecting based on these changes.
Wow. Thanks for this behind the scenes, and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much.
Je kunt het werk van Mitchell vanaf 2 juli bekijken in Museum Jan. En daar worden ook de andere werken uit de topografische collectie tentoongesteld in de tentoonstelling Verzameld voor Amstelveen. En in het Cobra Museum voor Moderne Kunst wordt een ander gedeelte van de gemeentelijke kunstcollectie laten zien, met een nieuw werk van Johannes Verwoerd. En als Amstelveener zijn beide tentoonstellingen gratis.